Hello, welcome to today's presentation of 5 ways of getting more likes on Facebook. My name is Donnie Vaughn. I'm here with my brother Randy of YourSchoolMarketing.com. We're excited to share with you some practical and inexpensive, if not free, ways to get more likes on Facebook. I think that's what we want for your school. We want your page to have more likes. The more likes you have, the bigger reach you have. And that's what we want to share with you today. 5 ways of getting more likes on Facebook. Before we do that, a little housekeeping stuff. We want to encourage you to use our hashtag, which is hashtag SM4Schools. You can do that on Instagram or Twitter. And if you're following Randy on Twitter, that's great. If not, follow him at SchoolMKTG. And so that'll be a good way for you to reach out to Randy, communicate with him, share some of his ideas. If you want to share some ideas with him, communicate that way. He will certainly enjoy that. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand the microphone over to Randy Vaughn of Your School Marketing.
All right, thank you, Donnie, and we're excited about sharing with you 5 ways to get more likes on your school's Facebook page. I'm excited to share with you some things today that we're going to learn. We're going to learn a lot about really understanding a long-term strategy for using social media, but particularly Facebook, understanding kind of what we're doing, bigger picture kind of stuff. We're going to talk about that. We are going to look at 6 common mistakes that we are all making on social media, and I think there's some things that you're going to pick up today that you may be doing, and you want to correct those. And so I want to make sure we are tackle those issues. In addition to the 5 ways of getting more likes on your Facebook page, we're also going to introduce you to a feature that can allow you to showcase your school even better. So what we're looking at first is that understanding what it is we're doing on Facebook. Can't tell you how many times that people come to us and say, I don't know what I'm doing on Facebook. I just got on, we launched a page, or we did it a year ago and we thought we were going, and then we just kind of plateaued, and now we don't know what we're doing to move the mark at all. How do we grow our Facebook page? Well, the most important thing that we can all do is understand how to tell your story. You've got to understand how to tell your school's story. Now, your school is made up of a microcosm of many personal stories with your students, families, staff, and alumni. And so you've got to capture all of those stories together and present them as your school's story. Your school's story is going to be one of showing how your school in a unique way is meeting the needs of your families and your students. And what are they doing after they leave? What kind of impact are they making on the community and around the world? And so tell your story. Share ways that you're doing that both for current families and for alumni as well. All right, so it's a confession time a little bit. We got to move into understanding these things that we do wrong. Now, some people say I take too many pictures on my food, but I thought that was a funny cartoon. But what we want to get into is what we call the sins of social media, and these are the 6 areas that we want to address, because the first thing that we have to deal with is get past this constant self-promotion. Social media is not promotional media. You've got to understand the difference of that. It was born out of the desire of people to communicate with each other. It was born out of Facebook, particularly, was born in the dorm room for people to just learn about their friends. And so you've got to understand that Facebook, yes, it has matured and evolved over time into a larger network, but it is still something that is ultimately designed for people to follow their friends, find out what's going on. They want to. People are getting on their news feed the first thing they do in the morning, and sometimes late at night. And in the middle of the day, people are sneaking on their phones and looking at their Facebook news feed just to find out what's going on in their friends' lives. And that's what the point of social networking sites like Facebook, that's what the point is. It's not for them to get on and hear advertisements and pushing products from businesses and even nonprofit organizations for them to pitch for more donations. You're a part of that, but that's not the reason people are on. So you've got to play according to some rules and act in a way that people want to continue to follow you. in that light. We don't want to continue just to constantly sell all the time. And then schools do this. See a lot of people selling and selling and selling. And it's all about the open house. It's all about the next tour. It's all about the different things that your school offers. And I know that there's some way that those can be informational products or informational posts out there, but a lot of it is very self-promotional and very oriented towards selling. And we've got to move away from that being the bulk of what we do. It doesn't mean that there's not a place for that from time to time, but it means that we just got to get away from this constant self-promotion and selling. The other thing I see that a lot of schools will do is launch Facebook pages and then no one will hear from them again. Or it's the last post, you'll look back and say, well, it was July 12th was your last post, and it's in September. And there's been a lot of things happen between July and September, and you're not capturing what's going on. You're not sharing anything of value with your audience. And so there's just separation. They don't ever hear from you, and they just kind of get disinterested. And being inconsistent is another one. People do this all the time, and it drives me crazy, and I think it drives the audience crazy. Is that they don't hear anything from you, and then all of a sudden they'll get 15 photos from the latest field trip that your school made, and then they won't hear anything from you again. And the next time you go on a field trip, there's more pictures, or all of a sudden now they'll get 4 posts in one day, and it's just too much. And what it really does is it makes the audience frustrated, and it makes you look very chaotic. And social media is a systematic approach to sharing content, and we've got to get away from this inconsistent model of that. Okay, and the last two have to do with, one of them is just understanding that your social media strategy is really a visual content strategy nowadays, especially in light of Instagram, Pinterest, but even Facebook is very visually oriented. You've got to engage the senses that way. And so not having a visual content strategy, you've got to have the resources, you've got to have the personnel. Look for students. Look for volunteers. If you don't have the ability to create some graphics of your own or to take good quality photos, then you're going to miss out because your visual content strategy is going to be ineffective. And because Facebook is so visual, you've really got to have the right kind of resources in place to do that. And then lastly is just sharing the kind of content that no one cares anything about. One of the things that would make people want to follow somebody and continue to following is when you're sharing high-value content, the kind of stuff that makes people excited about sharing. They want to engage with you. They want to like it. Maybe it's a real challenge or a provocative in a real good way that makes people step out of the box and think about things. That's going to get some really good engagement. They're going to share their post on their profile, and that's going to drive more people into your Facebook database. And so we've got to get away from just boring things. One of the things that when we talk about this is the kind of content that you want to share on your page. And this is some of this, as we get into some of the 5 ways, we're going to look at some of the best practices of Facebook. So I can't spend a whole lot of time because I want to make sure that you share your story. That's the most important thing we want to get out of today, is understanding, sharing your stories. It's all these different ways of getting likes, and some of them are a little bit unique and innovative, but overall you're trying to share your story. One of the things that we do get a lot of questions about is what to post on Facebook. And so just to make that easy today, even though you could find, we've done webinars about this, but we've also written a blog article on our site that shares with you an acronym that really will help you when you're sitting at the computer and you don't know what to post and you just kind of stuck and you feel like you're just posting the same old stuff over and over again. This acronym is going to help you with that, no pun intended. As you'll read the article, you'll see that. And so you want to go to our website at yourschoolmarketing.com/what to post. And if you'll type that in exactly like that, you'll be taken to an article that'll share with you that acronym that'll guide you through having an idea of what exactly you're putting on your Facebook post that day. I think that you'll find that very helpful, and you'll understand why I'm emphasizing that word when you get to the page. All right, so now we get into these likes on Facebook. Before we do, let's go back a little bit to those best practices. We talked about the idea already, sharing things that are not just boring, but high quality content, the kind of content that makes people want to talk about it, like it, comment, share it, and they're going to tell their friends. They're going to post it on Facebook that, everybody needs to follow this page. And that's sometimes hard for schools because, again, a lot of schools are self-promotional, and then we wonder why our friends and even our current families aren't sharing this so much, because a lot of times it's so self-promotional, your family members don't want to sense like they're just sharing that kind of self-promotional material. So, but if you think about good resources and helpful material, good kind of content that would be worth sharing, then I think you're going to have a much higher engagement rate, and you're going to get more likes ultimately just by sharing the kind of good quality content that you can produce. So, for instance, you might want to produce some good content. Maybe it's a blog article, video, free ebook. Share that on your Facebook that says, hey, you want to understand 5 ways to manage the transition between elementary and middle school, or maybe how to get better grades in high school math. Or how about this, for all you graduating seniors, here's 3 common mistakes people make when they overlooking the scholarships that are out there. And so there's different high-value content that you need to be creating, finding out, you know a lot of this content, you just never have put it in a form that people can read or watch or listen to. And so if you'll produce that kind of content and share that, then your families will share that on their profiles more. And when you get that kind of content out there sharing, that's going to bring more traffic to your Facebook page. So that's just kind of a freebie getting started here as we get into 5 ways to get more likes on your Facebook page. So the first thing we want to do as we get these, look at the 5, is we want to look at your username, your URL at the top of the page. So if you're on your screen, you look at facebook.com, what is it that comes right after that? And so we want to look at as an example. This is an organization that I'm a part of. It's called Peace House Rwanda. I'm on the board of a ministry that oversees the Peace House and helps to raise funds for that. I was there last summer, and so we love the Peace House and what they're doing in Rwanda. So as part of what I get to do as being on the board is help with the social media. And so we were launching this Facebook page, and when we launched it, this is what the URL is that Facebook gave to us. And I thought it was so funny, so I wanted to capture it because look how long that is. And it's just a kind of a generic default Facebook page username. And so you can see how that, if it has the word page, is it pages or page in it right after .com, that means you have not simplified or created a username, a real shortened username. And so you want to go to a website called facebook.com/username, USERNAME. You want to go to that. Now there's an option to do this for your personal profile as well as your Facebook page. Make sure you're clicking on the right option. And this is where you'll give, basically like creating a domain name somewhere, you'll have the option to do this for your school. You have to be an admin of the page or logged in under your school's login information for your school's Facebook page to do it. But once you get to that point, you can then suggest a shortened username, something perhaps maybe 10 characters or less, and then you can see if it's available. Facebook won't let there to be 2 of those out there, so it'll tell you if it's already been taken or not, and then you have to choose something else. You might want to use your mascot. You might want to use something about your location. There's a lot of ways that you want to be consistent with your branding. Think through if you're on Twitter or you're on YouTube or Pinterest, think if there's something consistent there because you're going to use this in your marketing, and we're going to show you in just a second how this actually can work to help drive people to your Facebook page to get more likes. And so what we want to do is, when we were looking at this Peace House Rwanda deal, we thought, okay, we got to get this shorter. So we made the option. We were able to secure the option, much shorter name, facebook.com/Peace House Rwanda. Now that kind of is a little bit longer, but we needed the word Rwanda in there, and we really wanted Peace House in there. So we kind of went a little bit longer than normal, but still we've got a much shorter username that's much easier to remember. And that's important when we're talking about using your username for marketing purposes. You want it to be something that easily could be shared, even in a conversation with somebody. You could tell somebody what the username is. You could do a lot of things with that. Now, let me show you exactly how this gets into driving more people to like your Facebook page. One of the things that I hate more than anything is when people tell me on a postcard or some other way, they'll share with me this graphic that says, find us on Facebook. that tells me I'm going to have to do a lot of work, because it is a needle in a haystack to get into Facebook and have to go to that search bar, which I think is a very clunky search engine built into Facebook. I rarely can find exactly what I'm looking for, and oftentimes I find what I think is a school, and I find out this Covenant Christian school is different than what I was looking for, and I never can find it. You've got to help me get right to your Facebook page. That's going to increase the number of likes on your page. If you tell somebody to find us on Facebook on a postcard, I don't know how many people would really take the effort to do that. I'm going to tell you something you can do to make it even easier. So let's look at some ways that you look, 3 common ways. T-shirts, maybe even a billboard. This is going to be a little tricky for a billboard because your attention span on a billboard is very short. But maybe even better is that direct mail campaign, that postcard that you send out regarding maybe an open house preview night event. So let's look at some ways that you could take. Well, we already kind of come up with a shorter username, but let's go through the basics of making sure you know what to put on there, because I see a lot of people post this on their postcard, and they include the HTTPS. Now, if you grab the username out of your domain up on the top of your screen and copy that, it will include the full HTTPS : you don't have to use all that, but that's what's in the domain name, the default, but you don't have to use that to tell people how to get to it. You could even say www.facebook.com/PeaceHouseRwanda, but seriously, www is not even necessary either. Facebook, the web has gotten sophisticated enough that you don't have to do that. You can just type facebook.com, and that's what we saw as the username earlier. But this is a neat little trick that I know a lot of people don't know about, is that Facebook recently allowed you to shorten facebook.com to fb.com. You don't have to do anything different. It's not a whole new page. They just have said, we know that if somebody puts in fb.com, they've just somehow redirected every one of those sites over to facebook.com. So now look how big the font is now when it's fb.com/PeaceHouseRwanda. And admittedly, Peace House Rwanda is a long username. Let's say yours was 10 characters, and then you had fb.com. I mean, you're able to get this in just less than 15 characters. Your font size can increase on that direct mail campaign, or a T-shirt that you send out with all the students to the water park, or to the maybe do something at Walmart in a service project in the community. And so you can actually put your Facebook username on your shirt, where you couldn't have put that before because it had been too long. So using fb.com, I think, is a really neat way to even further shorten the URL, and that using that is going to help people get to your Facebook page, because you've got to send people there. And so that's the number. The second way. Number 2 is actually getting in, furthering this idea of sending people to your page, being intentional, making sure people don't have to just search for Facebook, search throughout Facebook for you. You're going to send them intentionally there. So we're going to look at some of the most common ways that people are sharing their Facebook link on their driving people to their Facebook page. And the first couple of ones have to do with being on your website. You can make up your own little graphic. Facebook prefers you to use kind of their official logo, so that you can either make up a graphic of your own, put their logo on it. Nevertheless, you put it at the most prominent place you can get. I like it on the sidebar a lot of times, because a lot of times websites are set up where sidebars are on every page, every template of the page, so you see that same opportunity to join the Facebook page. Sometimes it's at the bottom of the page. If it's at the bottom, kind of below the fold, or what we call the newspaper term, but it's really as you have to scroll too far on your monitor, certainly make it big. Don't make people have to search around for it. They will miss it on your home page. And certainly don't put it in a drop-down menu, on the sub drop-down menu under the About Us, social media, check us out, learn about how to contact us, and they'll never find it. So put it in a prominent position as you possibly can. One of the really cool ways you can do it is go to Facebook and go to their help section. They'll show you how to insert a plug-in onto your site that will embed the Facebook kind of a feed right there on your website. So you can put this in your sidebar, and people can actually like your Facebook page from your website. They don't even have to go into Facebook to do it. So while they're navigating your wonderful website and seeing all the great content you have there, they are also able to just click that like button and then boom, they're in to your page. You certainly want to do this on to your newsletter. Hopefully you're sending out something not only to current families, which they should all be on your Facebook page, but even to prospective families as well, making those links to your Facebook page. Maybe giving, we'll look at contests in a little bit, but maybe doing something else that reminds people, hey, from email, click here, make sure it's linkable, and don't just put on there, find us on Facebook, link it, and make it go directly to that page. Maybe it gives me an incentive to say, why would I want to join your Facebook page? What am I going to get there? Kind of give people a heads up or idea. Also on Twitter is a good way to do it because you can send people in a tweet. And some people are on Twitter. They just they kind of dabble in Facebook, or they're more on Twitter, but they do still participate over on Facebook, and you can link them from there. So using those kind of ways to drive people externally, I think, is a good way to intentionally drive people to get more likes on your page. Now, number 3 is going into the contest and giveaway sweepstakes. And this is exciting because this is a new feature that Facebook used to control a lot more and discouraged you from doing any kind of contest based on whether or not somebody liked your page or not, or whether they commented on a particular post. They used to frown upon that, and actually then made you, if you had to do any contest at all, you had to use a third-party application, and that just kind of people stumbled through that a lot because they weren't familiar with the applications. And then nevertheless, what ended up happening where people were actually doing contests outside of the rules of Facebook, and there's been many sites of all kinds taken down. Facebook's not much on grace, so their grace is not one of their things. So they see that violation, they'll just turn your page off, and they'll take it down, and you'll lose that ability to communicate with people. So, but Facebook has lifted that a little bit on contests and giveaways, allowing you more options to do that. So there's some really neat things you can do. I certainly still advocate a lot of the third-party apps. I think they provide some functionality that you can't do. But let me show you a couple of things. One, this is an application called Rafflecopter. Many schools are using this, and this is a school that was doing a giveaway. I can't remember what they were giving away, but they were doing something, and they wanted people to go to this page. And so this is on Facebook, and when they get to this page, before they could go any further in the giveaway and participate, they had to like their Facebook page. So great way for the school to capture likes, because everybody wants to participate in a contest or a sweepstakes, and so this is a way to do it. So, and another option from another school that we work with, Covenant Life School, they were doing their first day of school photo, and I know many schools out there did similar kind of things. This was not done through a third-party app. They just simply used the photo feature, just to posted a photo about a graphic about the contest, and then just asked people in the comments to upload photos, which you can do, and then you could like the comments, and so that was a way that of them voting on the particular photos that people liked the most. So it was a neat way to use contests like that. Some of them are engaging with those third-party apps. There's a bunch of them. Rafflecopter I mentioned before, WooBox, Wildfire. There's several on there that you can still use. Again, they have some good functionality. I like WooBox a lot. One of the other schools that I saw had done a first day of school photo contest, and the WooBox is really slick in the way they present it. It makes it really easy. You actually have a little vote tally, and it was just a really neat application to use, and I was told that it was pretty easy to use as well, and didn't cost that much either. So one of the things that we wanted to do is provide you some information more about the contest, and that is to provide another resource on our website where you can learn more about Facebook contests. There's some links there that'll some other articles that will explain this even more, give you some better examples. And so you want to go there at yourschoolmarketing.com/FB contests, and that's plural, and FB is for Facebook, and that is, I believe, case sensitive, so be sure and type in the uppercase F and B. All right, now we're going to move on to number 4, and this is one of those areas that I think often is overlooked when people are wanting to get likes on their page. One of the things that you can do is, and you've seen this in your news feed, if you're in Facebook at all, you've seen how this, you've seen it. You may just didn't really register with you what people were doing to make it work this way, but basically it creates a quick link, maybe a hyperlink, where your school's name is linked, where people click on it and it goes over to your Facebook page. And so I wanted to give you a couple examples of that, and two of them actually have to do with your location services if you're on a smartphone, where you can, it depends on whether you got that turned on or not. Some people don't like to do it. You know, if you do like to do it, or if that doesn't bother you, then you can certainly encourage families to be doing that. So two things you can do on the location side. One is if you're at a at the school. This is one example on the left. Jay Pritchard, who is at Pantego Christian Academy, he uses, I think that from what I could tell here, it probably was something that he mentioned, this upcoming fine arts performance, and he mentioned where he was at from a location standpoint. This has a little pin drop icon on the Facebook post, and you can indicate, you can turn it on or off, but if you want to turn it on, it will include that in the post that I am at maybe in a certain city or something like that. But the check-in related to that is also based on your location. So if you want to go and check in at Pantego Christian Academy and then make a comment about the theater performance or a basketball game if you're at the gym, you want to encourage people to do that. Again, go have a contest to say everybody who's checked in tonight's game gets, you know, something free at the concession stand. And this, all of a sudden, now everybody's checking in, and what that does is you can see on the screen that it kind of hyperlinks the name of your school, and that will go to your Facebook page. If it's set up right, it'll go to your Facebook page. And then, again, we're not talking about the people at the game. We're talking about all those friends, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of friends who are seeing all their other friends who are checked in at this game at Pantego Christian Academy. So again, it might be neat to say, well, what is that, and who is Pantego Christian Academy? And it gives you an opportunity to showcase and promote your page name and your school just by allowing people to check in. The other part on the right side is more of what we call tagging, and that's where somebody wants to mention your school. And I see this often. Parents will mention school's name. I love my kid's school. And they'll mention the school's name, but they don't use the tagging feature. And when they miss the tagging feature, all it is blank text. No one sees that. No one can do anything with it except for her friends. But there's no activity. There's no action from it. What you should be doing, and this is an example of a page on Swickley Academy that they had somebody, this was a congressman that was making a particular reference to a state championship tennis team and wanted to recognize them. And so by tagging Swickley Academy, then Swickley Academy gets that link right from the congressman's newsfeed. So everybody's following the congressman. And this would be the same way if I was following if I was in the newsfeed of any number of your parents, then I would see this in my newsfeed, and I would have the ability to click on. So maybe, let's say, for instance, I'm following the congressman, but I don't know anything about Swickley Academy. I've never heard of you before. Or I might have the perception of, well, I know they're a private school, but I don't think they offer any kind of sports or anything. Again, there's a lot of perceptions out there. And all of a sudden I see this in my newsfeed that they have a championship tennis team, and I think, well, my child is in tennis, but they're enrolled in the public school, and I know they're probably going to have to really compete and may end up sitting on the bench because they may not compete enough to be on the championship team there. They may never play. But I see Swickley Academy, they not only offer tennis, but they offer a really good tennis program. And so I'm probably going to click through that link, that hyperlinked word, Swickley Academy, and that's going to take me to their Facebook page, where I'll probably then more likely click on the like button to start following them more. So using the tagging feature is something that's often overlooked. You have to, this is something done by you on a personal basis or your parents and their status updates. So encourage people to do this. Train people to do this. At your parent-teacher organization meetings, have a little 5-minute lesson on tagging on Facebook. Anytime you have parents who say, I'd like to help, how can I help? Make sure they understand tagging on Facebook. Okay, we're going to jump right through here as we move on to number 5, and this is that custom Facebook page. And I think there's a default Facebook page that everybody gets, and we've been talking about ways to increase the number of likes on your page through that, but customizing your Facebook, again, using some third-party application, we can do something phenomenal on your page. We can have your page represented in a way that kind of blows away the competition, and people come to your page and they're really not expecting anything but the default, and now they have the ability to see something very professional. And when they see this page, they say, this is somebody who's got their act together, they're on top of things, they understand branding, they understand marketing, and it's going to give your followers a lot more confidence. So let's go through what a custom Facebook page would look like. This is just an example of the Woodlands Christian Academy. Worked with them a while back on customizing their Facebook page. Everybody's got a timeline cover photo. You want to do something pretty striking here, something unique. Using just individual photos are okay, but again, you've got the ability to add text. When we did this one, you didn't have the ability to draw an arrow to the like button. Again, that's one of the things that Facebook has allowed you to do now. You could actually draw an arrow to that like button. Again, that's the point here, is getting more likes on your Facebook page. You want to drive them to that like button. So you want to do something in the timeline cover photo that's unique, something that's, again, when they come to that page, you want to have that kind of that wow factor. And so the default just simply doesn't do that. Let me show you, this is another example of one we did for a nonprofit organization. Again, just using, besides just the arrow button, trying to focus people visually on that like button area, using the dots in the logo, and just trying to draw them visually to that. We could put an arrow there, but again, trying to use some visual creativity in that, driving people to the like page. This is one we did back definitely before they had the arrow button. You couldn't put an arrow, but we could be creative. During March Madness a couple of years ago, we had a carpet company in town, and we were working with them on a lot of different marketing things, and this is one area that we did. Loved it. Really fun way to represent the driving people to visually to click on that like button, just simply following their eyes on the timeline cover photo. So you want to use your timeline cover photo in a creative way. So again, the point is to drive people to the like button. Now let's show another aspect of customizing your Facebook page. This goes a little bit further, and you can do this yourself. We obviously do this for schools all the time. You can add in some applications here that kind of create some little boxes, kind of navigation. Looks like almost the navigation buttons over here, and those can be added up to 3 right next to where you have your photos area. And so we did this for Woodlands Christian Academy north of Houston, and we have 3 different ones that focused on the kind of a welcoming one, then there's one on athletics, and then focusing one on the alumni. But what we want to do is show you what would happen if they click on the welcome page. Again, we saw an example earlier of kind of what we call a like gate, where in other words, kind of like the contest was with that one school where in order to participate in the giveaway, you had to like the page. This is another step that just says, hey, before you go any further in finding out about us, be sure and like our Facebook page. And that one little reminder right there is an amazing number of people who will just skip right over that like button right underneath the timeline cover photo, but when they're prompted here to like the page, they'll click on that like button because they want to see what's behind it. And so they click on the like button, and then they see this. And this is another aspect of that customizing your Facebook page, where you take it almost creates kind of a mini version of your website all within Facebook. So for those people who are comfortable in Facebook, they're not interested in going outside, they're in their Facebook zone, and they really don't want to navigate outside of this. On a desktop, this is what they would see. They would see this behind that welcome tab. They would see this graphic, a collage of pictures. They would have that schedule a tour actually links over to their website. If somebody wanted to go outside, they could schedule a tour, but they're also able at the bottom of the page to watch a video. So it's very engaging welcome page to your custom Facebook page. It's kind of like a landing page that a default Facebook page does not allow you to have. This is what we call customizing your Facebook page. So again, as you see there, The navigation at the bottom, facebook.com/Woodlands Christian Warriors is the way you can find there and see their page. Now we're going to get just another example of some of those navigation tabs. This is a nonprofit that we did. We wanted to focus on getting them to start here. And so again, trying to give them, in case somebody, again, you see that like button at the top left-hand corner of that red circle. In case somebody just doesn't click through there, it's not a real prominent button. A lot of people say, well, I'd like to know more about this ministry, but I don't know, why am I going to, they may not even see the like button, may not be prompted to do anything with it. But here we're going to start here, and that's going to visually hopefully encourage them to go right into a custom page on their Facebook page. And this is where, again, the encouragement, this did not have a like gate on it. They didn't want to do that, but they did want to encourage people to like it. So creating a custom graphic that at least visually reminds somebody to like the page is important, as well as showcasing other ways that people can participate, even offering some quick donation buttons that people could click through and immediately go to donate. So again, we talked about the unique URL, so I'll kind of fast forward past that because we mentioned that a little earlier. But the one thing, yes, the one thing that didn't mention was when you have these applications like this custom Facebook page, each one of those little navigation boxes, those 3 navigation boxes, going back to Woodlands Christian, we have the welcome, athletics, and alumni. Each one of those has a unique URL to it. So what if you're wanting to drive people from there, from an email marketing newsletter, or if you wanted to drive people, you can do this through Facebook advertising, to drive people to this particular app, and they see this. And so there's a lot of ways to drive. That unique URL gives you an opportunity. It's like a landing page with a unique URL that you can send people to. So you want to do that and just ultimately showcase your stories. And this is one of the things we did. Going back to Peace House Rwanda, we wanted to showcase some of the other things that they were doing. And one of the ways we did that was through their videos. And so we created one of the 3 things that we could do. We had a number of ways we could focus their attention, but we'd really like people to know about this ministry. It's a relatively new ministry, and so they created some real cool videos, but other than the videos being on their website, and occasionally they'd put them in their news feed, but again, when we wanted the representation that when someone came to the Facebook page from one of those links or any other way that somebody might have come here, we want to remind them that there's some incredible things going on in Rwanda, and they could watch the video. So they would click here, and again, we utilize the like gate option. So when they go there, again, that prompter to be sure and like the page. If you want to see, you can almost, if you tilt your screen right or tilt your head right, you can see there's a kind of a video tease back there. You want to watch that video, but before we do, let's make sure we click on the like button, and I think that that definitely increases the number of people who like the page. So it's a great tool to use because once they click on the like button, they go right in to the video and they're able to watch the video. So just another way, using this custom Facebook page, there's really, like I said, multiple ways within the customizing Facebook page. So even number 5 has multiple little mini ways that you can increase the number of likes on your Facebook page. So this has been a very quick overview of 5 ways, hopefully a little bit more. We didn't get into paid advertising, but there's another opportunity for that, and you could certainly research different ways to promote and sponsor posts and pages and things like that. And that's another topic. But hopefully you've learned some things today. We want you to follow us on all our social media channels. They're listed on the page, but you certainly want to go to the website at yourschoolmarketing.com, and you can actually click through. And like I said, Donnie said earlier, follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. If you're really looking for some innovative ideas, what other schools are doing, we post it on Facebook maybe once or twice a day, maybe not even every day. But on Twitter, I'm posting a lot more than that. And so again, I'm sharing some of the content that we do, and some of that's going to be shared on Facebook. But you want to follow me on Twitter to get all the other ideas that other people are sharing that's not shared on Facebook, because we do a lot more tweeting than we do on Facebook. Just because I think that's the nature of Twitter. I think people expect that more. So if you're really looking for innovative ideas, examples of what other schools are doing in independent schools and Christian schools, and you want to follow on Twitter, the School Marketing on Twitter. YouTube also has some how-to videos. I think there's some really good short videos, and there's some archived webinars as well. We have a LinkedIn Christian school group there. We have some articles posted there. And then we are on Instagram and Pinterest, so you want to follow us on there. Pinterest has got tons of boards. We're trying to post things that are going to be useful to you, and there are a lot of them are social media related about just any number of things. But you want to go there particularly for seeing what other schools, how they're pinning on Pinterest. There's a whole board about that. And also another resource on that one is parent articles. So if you're looking for articles to share with your parents to be useful, we've got a board there. When we find good articles that we think would be good for you to share, we put them there so that you can grab those and share them with your families as well. So we want to provide all those opportunities to follow us on all the different social media channels. But our free gift today is something we want to offer to everybody here, is an opportunity to go and get free social media tips, actually 50 social media tips. It's a free download, and we want you to go there and go to yourschoolmarketing.com/50 tips, and then you just go there. There's a quick little form that you just fill out, and you can get your download. It's 50 free social media tips, just real short ideas. If you're just looking to implement some things today, maybe you're stuck, or you just feel like you've exhausted all the creative juices for the day, maybe you want to print it out and share it with some of your team. There's a lot of ways to use that. We wanted to provide that as a resource for you, 50 free social media tips, and that is absolutely free. So go to yourschoolmarketing.com/50 tips. And again, we're thankful that you're a part of these presentations, these and upcoming webinars that we'll have, and different presentations we'll make on the YouTube channel. They're all there designed to help you fill your seats, to install a marketing system for your school marketing. And in any way we can help you, we want you to go to our website at yourschoolmarketing.com. Start with that one called 50 Tips, and then from there you can go and we offer a free 30-minute phone consultation, and then lots of other resources and blog articles that are right there on the page. So thank you for joining us today for this presentation, and we encourage you to come back again and follow us on all the social media channels at yourschoolmarketing.com.